Senator Durbin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've said over and over again we have securities and commodities. We've got to make careful definition, but I think there's more to the story. In the Clarity Act, which will receive a vote in the House this week, they create a loophole for crypto tokens known as collectibles. That means those crypto tokens won't have to register with financial regulators and would benefit from a lighter touch regime. In fact, collectibles aren't even considered digital commodities in the bill and are basically exempt from most requirements. When Coinbase, one of the largest crypto exchanges, went to court with the SEC, Coinbase, I believe he's a member of your organization, Mr. Kim, Coinbase argued that the tokens listed in the SEC's complaint were neither securities nor commodities. Coinbase's lawyer argued in court these tokens were like Beanie Babies, meaning just trading collectibles. But these collectibles can involve multi-millions of dollars. Just ask President Donald Trump, who listed his own meme coin on exchanges like Coinbase and Kraken, two exchanges that are part of the Crypto Council for Innovation. President Trump's meme coin has no real use and trades its values basically on popularity and hype, just like a Beanie Baby. But that did not stop President Trump from auctioning off his meme coin and giving top investors, get this, access to a face-to-face dinner with the President of the United States. Not only did President Trump make $315 million in fees by selling his meme coin, get this now too, 764,000 unique wallets lost money to the president's scheme. Talk about Toby and Edith. All the while, crypto exchanges like Coinbase and Kraken claimed they had a robust listing process and continued to perform due diligence on and on. So, Mr. Mossad, let's start with you. What concerns, if any, do you have about a huge exception for collectibles in any crypto market structure legislation, number one? And number two, you talked about a black eye to the industry of this transaction involving the president. I think it's more than a black eye. I think it's evidence of corruption. And the question, the bottom line as far as I'm concerned is, what does the industry do if they're afraid of the president when it comes to regulation?
Thank you for the question, Senator. First, on the collectibles, I agree with you. The Clarity Act does exclude those as commodities, and I think the rule should be that digital commodity exchanges can't trade anything unless they're covered by these rules. And what I would suggest to you, Senator, is why don't you write all the big platforms, Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini, if it's so clear, if the Clarity Act is so clear as to what's a digital commodity, ask them to tell you of the hundreds of things they list, which ones are digital commodities, and see what answers you get.
Mr. Sexton, what do you think?
With regard to those types of tokens, coins, I could tell you that we approach it from a slightly different angle, and that is we regulate the conflicts that may be embedded within our members.
I'll have to ask you to make a brief conclusion to your answer so I can ask one other question.
Go ahead.
In 2024, the FBI reported that Americans lost $16.6 billion to crypto schemes, 33% increase over the previous year. The type of scam I'm concerned about involves a machine called a crypto ATM. Mr. Sexton, do you know how many we have in our state of crypto ATM machines?
I could tell you, I don't know the exact number, Senator, but quite a few.
I can tell you it's 1,600. So what happens with the crypto ATM? They put them in grocery stores and shops. They're basically the way they victimize senior citizens and people in minority communities. Once a victim places their hard-earned cash in one of these machines, it disappears into a criminal's wallet, almost impossible to get back. Here's how it works. Scammers call an unsuspecting victim, tell them they owe taxes to the IRS or a penalty for failure to appear for jury duty. Not to worry, they can pay it off at a crypto ATM. They direct them to the nearest crypto ATM. These people put their life savings, in some instances, into the criminal's digital wallet. In 2024 alone, scammers stole nearly $250 million from Americans, and the stories are heartbreaking. This industry ought to wake up to this reality. There's a misuse of one of their operative machines to scam people over and over again with huge sums of money. Want to be known as a reputable industry? Do something reputable like protecting consumers. About 15 states have done it. All of them should, and we should put something in the federal bill. When the Genius Act came before the Congress, I wanted to offer this amendment. No amendments. Take it or leave it on the Genius bill. Well, if we have a second chance, whether it was Clarity or Genius returning, let's at least think about the consumers for a few minutes. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Durbin discussed the Clarity Act, which is set to be voted on in the House. This bill includes a loophole for crypto tokens categorized as collectibles, meaning these tokens wouldn't need to register with financial regulators. As a result, they would be largely exempt from most regulations. According to the Clarity Act, collectibles are not considered digital commodities and are therefore not subject to many of the required regulations. Durbin referenced a case where Coinbase, one of the largest crypto exchanges, went to court with the SEC. In this case, Coinbase argued that the tokens in question were not securities or commodities but were instead like Beanie Babies, essentially just trading collectibles. Durbin used President Trump's Memecoin, which was listed on exchanges like Coinbase and Kraken, as an example. He pointed out that Trump's Memecoin had no real utility, much like a collectible, and its value was driven by popularity and hype. Despite its lack of practical use, Trump's Memecoin generated significant revenue, with $315 million made in fees. However, 764,000 unique wallets ended up losing money in the process. Exchanges like Coinbase and Kraken continued to list these tokens, claiming to have robust vetting and listing processes. Durbin questioned what this meant for the credibility of these exchanges and the industry's integrity. In response, Mr. MSAD agreed with Durbin's concerns about the Clarity Act, suggesting that digital commodity exchanges should not be allowed to trade anything unless it's covered by the existing rules. He also called for increased transparency from platforms like Coinbase and Kraken, asking them to specify which of the hundreds of tokens they list are actually digital commodities. Senator Durbin also raised alarms about crypto scams, particularly those involving crypto ATMs. These machines are used by criminals to scam unsuspecting victims, especially seniors and people in minority communities. Scammers often tell victims they owe money for taxes or jury duty and direct them to crypto ATMs, where the victims deposit their hard-earned cash into the criminals' digital wallets. In 2024 alone, nearly $250 million was stolen through these scams. Durbin emphasized that the industry needed to take action to protect consumers and suggested that a federal bill should address this issue. He advocated for stronger consumer protections to ensure that the industry is held accountable.